Grayskull of Power Thee By. And I was like, yes!
Welcome to SinCast, presented by Cinemasins.
All right, everybody, welcome to the SinCast. This is Chris Atkinson from Cinemasins, joined as always by the voice of Cinemasins, Jeremy Scott.
Aloha.
And from Music Video Sins, Barrett Share.
Hello, friends.
Yes.
Oh, good.
Today we have an interesting topic.
Uh-huh.
We're going to be talking about unnecessary sequels we'd like to have made.
Oh, God, it's so unnecessary.
Why the hell would you do that?
What? Come on, are you kidding me? What the hell is wrong with you people?
That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, not unnecessary sequels that exist.
Yes, there are a lot of those.
Well, yeah, like, because then the whole episode would be about Miscongeniality 2.
It would.
Armed and Fabulous.
That's right.
I mean, but the crux of why we decided to do this topic is all the unnecessary sequels and remakes, right? Like, I just saw today on Twitter, apparently there's a whole Mamma Mia sequel with Cher in it. I never even heard about that, but there's a trailer out today.
Oh, great.
Mamma Mia would be a movie that doesn't need a sequel. Just like My Big Fat Greek Wedding. Let's wait 15 years and do a sequel. Everyone's going to love it all over again. And so the idea is, in my mind, basically anything can get remade at this point anyway. Anything can get a sequel. They've done 3 fucking sequels to Wet Hot American Summer or whatever. I guess 2 series sequels or what have you. So what would we like to see if we, had if we were the puppet masters out in Hollywood and we're like, yes, let's fast track this sequel, this unnecessary sequel.
That's right.
And I think we could probably go 4 hours if we weren't careful.
Totally.
I would say so. Yeah.
It was a very fun topic to sort of plan for and prep for.
Why do they screw up sequels so much? What is it? Just that it's not a part of the idea in the beginning, and it's just tacked on to make more money. Because we just released the Home Alone 2 video today,
example.
And I remember loving that movie. It came out in 1992, so I was young. I remember it was fun to watch. It was in New York. I had never been to New York. It was okay, maybe a little same beats, but generally like it was a new thing. And when I went back and watched it for sin purposes, I was like, this is the exact same fucking movie.
It is.
Just 20 minutes longer and 20% more violence.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of lazy creative, that classic, what did they like from the first one? Let's just do all that again.
Yeah. They overslept again. It's amazing.
I mean, they made, 2 more of these with other actors?
Yeah.
They made 3. I don't know if they made anything beyond that.
All right.
They did a 4, and I can't remember. Scarlett Johansson was in one of them. I think she was in the 3rd one.
Yeah. I think the problem comes down to self-awareness at a certain point. When you make that first one, you don't have any of that success and people telling you how good it is and all that. It's like, that was its own original creation. So you make a movie like that, and it's like, okay, that was great, and then you go through all the the interviews and the talking about it and so on and so forth, and then you make your sequel, and then you're like, well, what made that first one work? And that's what I think either subconsciously do when you write a sequel, or it is a conscious thing sometimes. I think Home Alone 2 was very conscious of making it. I mean, sometimes it just looks too the same to be subconscious.
Yeah. I mean, they literally, we did it again.
Yeah.
And then they come out and they're like, oh, to the camera.
Yeah. So I think a lot of times you're not making anything original. You're building off something that was original, and all that knowledge seeps into, whatever. At the same time, I don't know how you make something wholly original. Like if you decide, let's forget that first one, you know. Like, how do you do it? Like, you'd have to make it a completely different thing with different characters, maybe, or...
Well, yeah, that's the thing with Home Alone 2. Like, one of the jokes that Jonathan wrote was where John Lovitz and Dana Carvey not available
like,
to do that.
Trapped in Paradise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Why do they have to do Harry and Marv in New York?
I mean, it's more preposterous than, John McClane continuing to get... Like, there's even Die Hard 2 tries to write it out, like, how did the same shit keep happening to the same guy or something like that? Yeah. It's a cute moment, but that's pretty preposterous. That Home Alone 2 is even more preposterous. I was trying to think of something more preposterous than that And I spent about 5 minutes today pondering a Martian sequel.
Oh, yeah.
Like 20 years later, somehow Watney has to go up again, and they leave him behind again. And he's like, I got to do all this shit all over again. See, that would be pretty stupid, right?
Mm-hmm.
But somehow I believe if they made that movie, it would make money,
Sure, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
People don't really care. As a mass, we don't really care about preposterous
No.
anyway. But we're going to do some preposterous here.
Yeah, but it'll be
we
fun
are.
preposterous.
Yeah, we got some crazy-ass sequels coming up.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so listeners to this podcast know that I love me some Zero Effect.
Yeah.
Ah.
I may be the only person in the world that loves Zero Effect, and that's a shame because Zero Effect is a masterpiece, and you guys need to watch it.
Yes.
Anyway, there was a time when they were going to make a Zero Effect TV show,
Oh, yeah.
and it was going to have Alan Cumming as Daryl Zero.
Nice.
Then that fell through for whatever reason. I mean, maybe it just didn't have the same kind of magic or whatever, but I don't know. I would have watched that show. I mean, Alan Cumming is great. So
Yeah, I love that
I would have enjoyed it. But obviously Zero Effect back in 1998, I think even for $1998 made a paltry sum. It's probably made like $2 million or something like that. It wasn't much. Nobody saw it, and nobody talks about it today except me. But I want to make a Zero Effect too, and I want people to have the public consciousness of this movie now. I want a sequel to be made so that everybody realizes the first one was.
So this is to bolster the original, essentially, is the reason for this.
Indeed.
Nice.
But you would make a new quirky comedy. I want to bring Jake Kasdan back to do this one. I'm going to bring Bill Pullman back to play Daryl Zero, but he will have either an assistant like he had last time, which is Ben Stiller.
Yep.
He can either get Ben Stiller back. He would have to be divorced at this point because the whole thing about Zero Effect was that his girlfriend didn't like that he was working with this guy and that it was taking too much time away from her. So he would have to be divorced to be back with him, or he'd have to be doing it secretly, which is another thing that's fun. But if you can't get Ben Stiller, get Ryan Gosling.
Oh,
Get
nice.
get a name in there that's going to be like, oh, okay, I'll watch this or whatever. Like, as Ben Stiller and Bill Pullman, they're not enough. They're just not enough. But no, you get somebody like Gosling, who's maybe the next Daryl Zero, that he's like sort of taken under his wing and saying, here's how you do. The whole first movie has like all these fun little narration moments where Pullman is talking about like all the different things that you have to do to be him. It's like, I can't stress enough the importance of great research.
Yeah.
And he goes through that whole thing, and it's like, and here's some tips on when you're looking for something. He's like, don't be looking for anything specific. He's because of all the things in the world, you're looking for one of them.
Right.
But he's like, what the best thing to do is to be looking for anything at all, because of all the things in the world, you're bound to find one of them. And so
he's essentially Sherlock Holmes.
He is. This is Sherlock Holmes straight up.
Yeah.
Like everything, the relationship between him and Stiller are just like, Watson and everything. And yeah, I mean, even the whole, like, he's getting married and the girl doesn't want him to, all that's very Sherlock Holmes. I think this type of thing is more interesting than Sherlock Holmes, though. It's because I don't know, they made his character so, like, lonely and but you can see him like just constantly trying to get better with what he's doing, and like all of his like his method of solving this case in the first one is just, it's so satisfying. It's so great. And so, yeah, I don't think it would be too much of a stretch to come up with another kind of case. And they even talk about prior cases in Zero Effect. Like, they could even do a prequel if you wanted to. The one is like the case of the robber who made way, way, way too many mistakes is what they called one of them. You could go and do that if you wanted to. But yeah, I don't know what kind of mystery, but I would put Robert Downey Jr. as the guy who basically plays the Ryan O'Neal character in this one.
Oh, nice.
He's the client this time. He's the one who has something that's stolen, or he has the first movie is mainly about blackmail and stuff like that. But I have Robert Downey Jr. because hey, you have some ssymetry there with
Got a
the
little
Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
And
is he going to do some bare knuckle boxing in this one?
Of course he is. Yeah, why not? Well, one of the most insane images in Zero Effect is when Bill Pullman's talking to Ben Stiller in his kitchen, and he opens up a cabinet and pulls out this like giant bag of pretzels. it's like a, it's huge. It's just like this stuff like that in that movie is great. I'd love to see Kim Dickens come back, but if you've watched the first one, you know that Kim Dickens probably can't come back in this one. So somebody like Rebecca Pidgeon, who's in State and Maine, would be a good romantic foil for him in this one. So that's what I would like to see. And
I would totally watch that.
If you don't want to call it Zero Effect, you want to rebrand it as something else and just call it the sequel, the secret sequel, and be able to make the sequel. Do it.
What we've seen lately is that there's been a dearth of like really good mysteries recently, right? Like it's like the most unnecessary, even more so than a Transformers sequel, is the Murder on the Orient Express movie that just came out, which is really good. It's like, it's got great performances. It's got a great mystery. But why does it need to be made?
Yeah.
There's a million mysteries out there. There's a million Agatha Christie mysteries that people don't know about. Why did you make this one?
Yeah.
And, but yeah, if you could just come up with a good idea, a good mystery, a satisfying thing, good, performances, I would totally watch that, man.
Yeah. Murder on the Orient Express is one of those movies that why it feels so unnecessary is that if you know the story going in, you've lost 50% of the reason to go watch it.
Exactly.
And the reason why I went to watch it was that, first off, it looked beautiful and gorgeous and all that, but I thought there was a slight chance he would change it enough to be worthwhile if you didn't know what happens at the end. And no, he didn't.
Yeah.
So.
No, he did not. I had two distinctly different paths as I was prepping for this topic, because, I'm one of those people that's always rolling my eyes at all these sequels and comebacks, and like they obviously are working for some people. That Fuller House is Netflix's most watched show, and Will and Grace is back. And
is that doing well? Fuller House is doing well.
Yeah, they've ordered 3 seasons already.
Yeah. I know a couple of people who watch it religiously.
And it just feels like I started out just trying to think of the most preposterous sounding sequels, like that would make me go, why would you make a sequel? Like October Sky 2. Like this is where sort of my mind was. So some of these I'm intentionally making as cheesy and terrible and repetitious as possible. One such concept is Jerry Maguire 2.
All right.
And now Jerry's in his mid to late 50s, and he is become that old man that inspires him in the beginning of the first movie. He's about to retire. His stepson, Ray, is all grown up and is a hotshot sports agent at the firm that Jerry Maguire started, but has been too good at his job to pay attention to love.
Okay.
And so those around him, Jerry Maguire, Renee Zellweger, the divorced sister, the band together basically to try and teach him that life is about more than just great success in business. It's about love. Throw Cuba Gooding in there somewhere. Like everything that I actually would not want to do is sort of how I'm pitching this. And you just get the gang back together and see what happens. It feels like now I haven't seen the Wet Hot American Summer stuff, but when it was announced, it felt like kind of that's just all they really did. Yeah, let's just get everybody back, and people like these characters, and we'll just have hijinks.
Yeah,
I feel like you could do the same thing with a lot of different movies. Like I almost pitched you Wonder Boys 2, because I think that what makes that movie good is not the plot as much as it's just the quirky cast of characters interacting with each other.
Yeah.
And so I would watch Wonder Boys 2. Everybody's 15 years older, and where are they at now? There's no purpose for it. There's no point in it. It would probably be bad. They'd try and hit too many of the same beats again. Anyway, so that was my first with Jerry Maguire 2.
So would Jay Moore be working for Ray now?
You could throw Jay Moore in there somewhere. I'd probably have him doing like an even shittier job. Like he's like talking head on, ESPN3 or something.
That would be perfect.
Um,
Former agent.
Well, definitely like Kush should be like an
Yeah.
analyst. Like he dodged a bullet not being able to sign that guy. Like, you know, he ended up like flaming out after a year or
that'd
something
be awesome.
like that.
Yeah, he's like Chris Sims now.
Yeah.
Anyway, I don't think Cameron Crowe's doing anything. You know, that's probably my favorite of his movies, maybe Almost Famous. Get that gang back together.
Yeah, what has he been doing since he did Roadies?
He did that Roadies thing.
after Aloha. Yeah.
Aloha. Boy,
Did
that
you ever
was a
see
hard-
Aloha?
I
I
did.
did not.
It's a hard
You
watch.
saw it? Ooh.
It's just... Did you ever see Elizabethtown?
Yes.
How do you have
It
how
was
do you have
inoffensive.
appealing actors and a good director like that, and then just completely terribly miss on something?
Yeah, and it's like about a military, like the main crux of the thing is like military spending.
Ah,
Like the love falls apart because he does some military thing that's against her values or something. And she's like a native Hawaiian, even though she's Emma Stone.
yeah, no, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, not a great movie. I think, you know, basically I feel like 25% of Hollywood is just knocking on doors going, want to get the gang back together? Right? So sooner or later, someone's going to knock on Cameron Crowe's door with that question.
No, if you have a good cast, like I liked the series Wet Hot American Summer.
Mm-hmm.
Did you like that?
Yeah, the first one that they made, which
Mhm.
was the prequel one, was,
yeah,
was good.
Yeah.
The one that was the sequel, I had problems with, and they tried to turn the problems into a joke because they realized that they were problems.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this.
No, I haven't seen it. This is the 15 years later or 10 years later or whatever it is.
The funniest thing about the sequel one is that, like, in the original movie, they said, let's come back here in 10 years.
Yeah.
And then it's like, let's be here at 10 o'clock or something. And Michael Ian Black's like, I'll have something to do at 10 o'clock or whatever, which is like 10 years down the road. He's already got that. But what's so funny about the sequel one is that they've introduced new characters, and they make it seem like they were there all along. So like they show the original Wet Hot American Summer when they're saying, let's be back here in 10 years or whatever. And then they'll cut away to these three other characters and they're like, yeah, it sounds like a good idea. You know? But yeah, the whole thing is like some crazy, it's like just a really crazy plot, and it's fine. It's totally fine. But by the time at the end of it, where they start explaining things, where people are like, "What about this and what about that?" They're like, just don't worry about it, and it's, I don't know, it comes off a little unsatisfying when they say that, because it's
it literally is getting the gang back together.
yeah. But
all right, so I've got a sequel, a prequel, and a reboot.
You got 3.
I got 3.
Well, I got a couple others too. I didn't know I was supposed to spit
I think
them all at you.
we could go for 3 rounds.
so you
here.
have what now?
I have a sequel, a prequel, and a reboot.
They all walk into a bar.
They all walk into a bar.
And the Pope says,
Yes.
Yeah. My sequel came after watching Lolita.
Mm-hmm.
Because you guys got me the Kubrick set,
Mm-hmm.
and so I started with Lolita, and I'm going to work my way through all those things. Lolita is a really interesting movie. Obviously, the content is strange.
Well, and even stranger because it's made in the early 60s, so they couldn't really go super racy, but it's still really controversial.
Which almost makes it worse.
Yeah,
'Cause,
yeah.
like you think about like the implications of this. She's 12 years old when he first meets her. And then they start, quote, dating when she's 14.
Right.
And great performances, by the way. This is a movie that you should totally watch again if you haven't, or watch if you haven't seen it already. Peter Sellers, as good as
Peter Sellers is amazing in it.
in Dr. Strangelove, I think he's even better here. Like he's unbelievable. But he's got a relationship with this girl too. So there's a lot to unpack about that movie. It's a very, very good movie though. So at the end of it, she is 17. She's married and she's pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
What my idea is Lolita 2. Okay? So she's married and everything. And so she has the kid when she's 17. 12 years later, her kid is her daughter, we'll say it's a daughter, is the same age she was when Humbert started hitting on her. She's 29. So because of that, maybe her husband or somebody has started, recognizing that this girl is beautiful and maybe wants to hit on her or something like that. Something in Lolita snaps and she kills the husband. They go on to a murderous crime spree, her and her daughter.
Whoa.
Thelma and Louise style, going to different
hard
towns.
left turn there.
Oh, yeah. Going to different towns and finding themselves in situations where men are being abusive or being sexual predators or things like that, and they kill these motherfuckers. And they go from town to town. They start getting a reputation.
This sounds very Tarantino-esque.
Exactly. People are contacting them. They're saying, we really want you to take care of this. It's part Death Wish. It's part Natural Born Killer. It's part like Thelma and Louise. And at the end of it,
it cuts to Bruce Willis in a diner.
Yes.
At the end of it, Lolita's daughter is too young to really technically be involved in this, where if the cops find them out, they're not going to suspect her. They're going to suspect Lolita. Lolita fakes her own death, and her daughter goes to live with, a friend's parents or something like that, leave a normal life. She retires because she's gotten a lot of money. She's robbed these guys too. She retires to some tropical location, and the last shot is of her finally being at peace, where she's on her own. She doesn't need a man. She's still youthful, and she can finally relax and just kind of let the past go. That's Lolita too.
It's interesting. Like, your sequel sounds more like a sequel to the actual remake they made of, because the first Lolita, the Kubrick Lolita, is like a comedy.
Yeah, there's a lot of comedic elements.
It's got drama, obviously, and whatever. And isn't that movie like 2 hours and 20 minutes long or something like that? Yeah. It's long for its. So this sequel seems a little bit off center. Now, they made the one for Showtime, I believe, was Dominique Swain played Lolita, and Jeremy Irons was Humbert in that one.
Jeremy's Iron.
Iron. And that one was a little bit more of a sensitive look at it, even though it was also more, it was a little racier because it, came out in a more accepting.
They sexualized her a lot more.
They did, yeah.
She was pretty young when they shot it too. But I remember reading articles about her parents being on set, and they went to great lengths to make sure that she was as protected as possible. I've seen that version and not the Kubrick one, and I remember it being pretty damn creepy.
Yeah.
Now, if Hollywood actually made a Lolita 2, they would start with your script up until about page 10, and Lolita at 29 would start hitting on some 12-year-old boy next door. They just gender swap the same story.
Yeah, I could see that. What's weird is, have you seen Call Me By Your Name? So you know what I'm talking about, though, the one with Armie Hammer, and it takes place in like the Italian countryside, and he falls in love with this 17-year-old boy, and it's this romance, and it's getting rave reviews. Everybody loves this. You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Like, this is maybe the worst time for this movie to come out, but nobody's really talking about it having any controversy.
That's because, well, I think in general, America is more touchy about sex stuff anyway, but also age of consent is lower in most of Europe than it is here. So I don't think in the context of the film that age is as big a deal as the tabooness of, because I think it's a period piece too, right? So it's the tabooness in the culture they're in about their homosexuality more than like the age difference. Now, if he was a 10-year-old boy,
yeah,
don't make that movie.
No.
But you're right. I mean, now I don't know if this was an Italian production or,
I'm sure it's fine, and I'm sure it's a wonderful movie.
Yeah, it's just bad timing.
It just seems like there should be more upheaval in this, and it's probably a good thing that there's not, because the way they presented it is that the young boy is the aggressor, and Armie Hammer's just kind of along for the ride. It's just whatever. But anyway, even in the context, I was really interested to see how Lolita would play to me in the current age. I'm going to be interested to see how Clockwork Orange on a rewatch does too. But it's still just an amazing movie with amazing camera work and all that stuff, and you can see the fully formed vision of Kubrick early in his career. You can see shots. There are shots in that movie that I saw in Eyes Wide Shut, like transitions, where characters are. It was really, really cool to watch it.
That's interesting. I bet you'll have a lot of that if you go through them all in successon pretty quick.
Yeah.
Lolita 2.
Yeah.
I think it would be interesting to watch.
Now, you got another one?
So Rounders 2. Now,
Yes.
they've been talking about a Rounders 2 for a long time. It's not going to happen, I don't think.
Is it not?
I don't think so.
It's Brian Koppelman that
Yeah,
wrote
Brian
it, right?
Koppelman with his buddy, I can't remember his name right off the bat, but they're also behind Billions.
Brian Dunkelman?
Yes. No, this guy's Brian Koppelman. He's got his own podcast that's called The Moment. It's really good. But yeah, Brian Koppelman. Now, Rounders 2 is interesting because at the end of the first Rounders, Damon is about to go and play the World Series of Poker. And, the whole movie is basically saying, like, somebody like him who can read people so well and everything has a really good chance of winning the World Series of Poker because, quote unquote, the same 3 people are at the final table every year, which is not true. But like back then when there was less people entering, yes, that happened.
If there's 300 people, then maybe.
Yeah, like your people who spend all their waking days and nights playing poker are going to be at the final table a lot of time. Now with the, thousands of people who enter, it's like it's a lottery almost. So that's an interesting thing to me because this is before the poker boom. This is before Chris Moneymaker came in and won the World Series of Poker, and everybody started wanting to, enter to maybe just possibly win because they saw this guy win, and that was back in 2003. So there's a 5-year period here where like Mikey McDermott could be cleaning up.
Yeah.
So maybe we say he cleans up for a while, but then the poker boom comes in and he realizes that the reading people and everything is not the only thing, which is with the first movie.
The game's just gotten too commercial for him.
Yeah. The first movie makes it sound like all you have to do is read people, and the luck never comes into play. Like,
he's like, I don't even need cards, or I'll just read you blind.
Like as if he's never had that hand where he has aces in his hand and somebody has Jack 7 and decides to call it all off and somehow beat him. That's never happened before. So I think at some point he's got to get disenfranchised. Maybe even he doesn't have that run that I'm talking about. Maybe Worm fucks him over again because Edward Norton is probably one of the most disgusting characters ever put into a movie.
He's hideous.
He's so bad. Like he cannot help himself being a terrible person. And so like there's a lot of stuff that from the first movie that could dangle in front. Like he even like takes those KGB guys for all that money. So who knows? Who's to say that they don't say, Mikey, you better pay up because this guy's going to get it, blah, blah, blah. So maybe he doesn't ever make it to the World Series of Poker. Maybe, again, and then you're going to have to give a 20-year gap here. There's a 20-year gap. And what's happened to poker now is there's a lot of math nerds who are playing poker. And they go by the math. And there's a lot of complicated math out there on poker and everything. What decision to make at what certain point, they got that all down, essentially. So basically playing poker is mechanical, but maybe you put somebody like him who's like still watching after all these years, and he's discovered these little micro tells and whatever, and he's like, I can take on these guys or whatever. And so that's how you do it as a movie, because really, honestly, just being able to read people isn't going to get you very far. But if we're going to make a movie, him reading and being able to find those tiny little things or whatever, and maybe learning something about the new way poker is being played at the same time. And I would like, in the poker action scenes, for at least 3 or 4 times for a big, huge bluff to happen where he wins. I would like to see a part where he calls a whole big, huge bet with jack high and no pair and no straight or flush or anything on the board, and he wins that hand. I want to see like real poker being played. You can still put in your straight flush over quad aces if you want to. but I want to see some real poker being played. I don't want this Casino Royale bullshit where like every hand that determines the entire fate of the characters is some like incredible like bullshit that never happens.
Here's the part where Jeremy talks about Friends, the TV show again. Because there's an episode in either the first or second season where the guys are talking about how much they won at poker last night, and the girls are like, "You never play poker with us. Why?" And they're like, "You suck at it. It'd be terrible, and we don't want to just take your money." And the girls are like, "No, teach us." And basically, the course of like a day, they teach them poker, and they're playing poker. And by the end of that hand, Rachel gets a full house.
Mm-hmm.
And Ross lets her win, and he's bluffing his own defeat because he's trying to be nice and she needs money.
Mm-hmm.
But he had a straight flush or something, something that would have beaten that.
Yeah.
In one hand, those two.
Of course.
That's the kind of thing you need to avoid in this Rounders remake.
Oh my God.
Or sequel.
Yeah. I like I said, you can still put that in there because that stuff does happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it doesn't happen with the frequency that movies will have you believe. Casino Royale's bullshit, like 4-way pot where like two guys have full houses, another guy's got the nut flush, and then Bond has the straight flush.
Right.
That bullshit that never happens, and I don't even know how they got to that point because he's like holding 7 and a 5.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like I guess everybody just limped in, and then like the flop came, and Bond's like, I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna hit that straight flush. God damn it.
Well, the good thing about Rounders, the original, it did have to that point probably the best poker scenes, like actual poker scenes.
Yeah.
Of course, the stuff with Teddy KGB at the end is kind of crazy, but
yeah,
it also could happen. There was a scene where he bluffed him off earlier on, so there was some good like actual poker being played.
Yeah, the Rounders, most of the hands that you see though are ridiculous. The one where Mikey loses all his money, where he's like, he's got 9s full of aces, and KGB just happens to have aces full of 9s.
Yep.
And like, and Mikey does this whole thing where he's like, I got outplayed. Like, there is not one person on earth who would have folded. There's not one. I don't care.
Yeah.
Like, there's not any. Everybody's losing their money on that. Sorry, that's what happens. And so like all the other ones, you don't really get to see how they got to these certain points and everything. You don't need to. I guess you don't really need to know every single like aspect of the hand. You got to tell a story here, and you got to get to the main parts. But yeah, I'd like to just see some real poker being played for once. And yeah, the first Rounders has some pretty good poker.
Yeah,
scenes
relatively to
especially for 1998. This is before everybody's like really gets interested in it and everything. But
I think that movie would make money.
Yeah, I think so.
Rounders too.
I think
It would make more than Rounders did.
Yeah, the first Rounders
It didn't do anything, right?
No, I saw it.
Yeah.
But I think the three of us might have been the only ones that did.
Yeah, I saw it in Montreal. I was in Montreal.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I remember watching it and going, I don't know what happened. I had no idea how he won. Like he said, I flopped the nut straight, and I was like, I don't know what that means. I'm glad he won.
Something completely different.
I'm glad he won.
Yeah.
He beat him. Nice.
Yay, good going.
Yeah.
All right, Shawshank Redemption 2.
Oh.
No, I'm just kidding. Because what would you do? It's just them working on a boat on the beach for 2 hours. Actually, I would watch the shit out of it.
Then you'd have they came after him and they pulled him back into jail.
You could also do that.
It was like, Morgan Freeman, you violated your parole. And Tim Robbins, fuck, man, I can't begin to tell you how many laws you broke.
You also could do like a Waiting for Godot type of thing where they're just talking the whole time.
No, I'd say I watched the shit out of like My Dinner with Andre with those two characters.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, I am going to do a prison escape related unnecessary sequel, and that's Out of Sight 2.
Oh man.
Now, part of the reason I like this is that Out of Sight very perfectly teases that the prison escapes and hijinks will go on for George Clooney's character. Hell, she fucking waits a day so that he's in a van with Samuel L. Jackson's character, whose nickname is like Flight,
right.
or Alice Flight from whatever, and has broken out of Leavenworth like several times, broken out of a bunch of other prisons. So the movie is winking at you saying there are other adventures out here where he's going to get out of prison and she's probably going to be around to try and arrest him. And that's probably where their love affair will will just hover around for the rest of their lives. Maybe they probably do it once every time he gets out of jail, and then she'll put the shackles on him. So let's flash ahead. This movie was 98. Right?
Yep.
Yeah. Let's flash ahead 20 years to today, and whatever has happened between then and now, probably a couple of escapes. But we cut straight to Samuel L. Jackson and Ving Rhames breaking George Clooney out of jail, just like the first one opens. Everybody's older. They've got some heist planned. You throw Steve Zahn in there somewhere. And Jennifer Lopez is still working. Maybe she's on a desk now, but for this one, she gets back out in the field to go after her man. I just like that movie so much and the vibe. And, Soderbergh made 3 Oceans movies.
He can totally do that.
I mean, come on, buddy. Again, it's another guy that's not like overworking himself these days. Give me another Out of Sight, too.
Well, that's a case of where somebody who became super famous as a director after the fact, after the first movie, and he would be able to sell an Out of Sight 2 at this point.
Yeah.
Even though that movie, I think it's developed a bit of a cult following now. I mean, it has a pretty good following at this point. But I think you could make the part 2, and people would be sold on Clooney, Soderbergh, and even Jennifer Lopez. I don't know. Jennifer Lopez has had an interesting career.
She has.
Sure has.
After Out of Sight, because and I thought she was going to be one of one of our big movie stars after Selena and that. And then she became a big, huge pop star. And the movies she chose after that were all like stuff like Enough. And
The Wedding Planner.
And they were
Made in Manhattan.
Made in Manhattan.
Isn't there one with like a step monster?
Yes. Oh yeah,
yes.
yeah.
With Jane Fonda.
Yeah,
it's Jane Fonda.
I've seen that.
So her choices after that were like either she just wanted to just do something breezy and whatever, which is fine if that's what you want to do.
Also in the time when she's dating Puff Daddy and Ben Affleck.
Yep.
So, maybe choices across the board weren't being made very well.
I don't think either she wasn't given movies to challenge her, or she just didn't want those movies.
Yeah.
So who knows what the real story is there, but
Have you ever seen Geely?
Yeah.
I have.
I haven't seen that.
It's a rough
Is
watch.
it bad?
It's pretty bad.
Yeah, it's bad. It's not nearly as bad as
its reputation,
like the worst movie ever made or anything like that. I do remember that coming out, and Sony, I think it was Sony, basically deciding after the first week to just pull it. Yeah. It's a bad movie for sure. And once again, Ben Affleck just converting those lesbians left and right, isn't he? And he does it in Chasing Amy and Geely.
Left and right. In Armageddon, he somehow finds a way to convert a lesbian.
Well, Liv Tyler was totally a lesbian in that movie.
Remember when Elaine tries to turn a gay guy, and afterwards he goes back? Jerry's like, you have to understand, he's got more access to the equipment.
She's like, maybe I have access 45 minutes, and that's on a good week. And you see it, so like, there's still a spot for you on our team.
We have a good team.
And then they start watching Melrose Place. I love that. So Out of Sight 2.
Yeah, that was my pick. There you go.
All right, I got a prequel idea. Forget Out.
Oh.
So what we see in Get Out is perfect, basically. I love this movie so much. There's so many different layers to it because you've got the racial thing, you've got some comedy in there, you've got some drama, you've got some, a lot of subtext to it. But if once they show the backstory on that video that they forced Daniel Kaluuya to watch, this has been going on for a long time. This family that's been trying to transfer consciousness essentially into a new body. But it hasn't always been about race. What they literally came out and said, black is in right now. And, people are coming around and saying, I want to be in an African-American body now. But that wasn't always the case. So they've been doing this since Grandpa started it, long ago, Bradley Whitford's dad. I'd like to see like the origins of that company, like that idea of how they made it work and how, what it was originally intended to do. Maybe it started with altruistic purposes. They wanted to prolong life and not necessarily just benefit the wealthy. It became that. And I would like to see that story. I think that would be interesting.
I think that's a very cool idea because there is a lot of history suggested there. I really love Get Out.
Mhm.
But why does that auction have to be silent?
Well, I mean,
It makes for
he's
a
nearby
very
enough.
it makes for a very effective scene of creepiness.
Yeah.
When we're kind of finally getting the last curtain kind of pulled back a little bit there. But it's never made sense to me why that has to be a silent auction.
Because he's close enough to where he could potentially hear and potentially, make a run for it.
Is he?
Yeah, well, I mean, they don't know how far he's gone.
Well,
I guess.
the fact that it happens at all where he could stumble upon it is bad enough.
No,
I
that's
think.
With his picture sitting up there on an easel.
Yeah, that's the
exactly.
thing. Like I think that was something we send in, in the video. Because you do have to have that so that it explains what's going on and everything. But at the same time, he is just literally like hundreds of feet away.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's the same thing when he goes upstairs and everybody gets silent. Chilling moment.
Mm-hmm.
But how would he not notice that the entire fucking party?
Yeah.
It's like he's on the top stair. He couldn't stop and be like, "What the fuck's going on down there?"
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I would love to see how. First of all, how that's possible, and then how it started and how they developed the technology, how they got the family involved, who were the initial test subjects.
You got to figure there's some fucked up test subjects out there.
Exactly,
the first handful probably didn't go very well.
Yeah.
Because we only see Lakeith Stanfield as as the only converted person, right?
Yeah, although she had dated so many.
Yeah. Oh no, and also the staff are converted.
Yeah,
too.
the staff is. I wonder what's going on with the other guys that are out there. So you could even do a sequel with that too, because at the end of I don't know if we're in spoiler territory with Get Out, but by the end of it, that's never addressed. Like those people are still out there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then plus all the stuff, the people that the brother's gotten too.
Mm-hmm.
So not only is there a large population just recently with the kids, they had to have a ton of people before this to develop this to get to this point.
Yeah.
I dig it, man.
No, I could see that. I could see that. Why don't you get Jordan Peele on the phone?
That's one of the things I put in my notes, actually. This would have to be directed by Jordan Peele because this is such a unique universe that he built, and to have the humor, that shit is so funny.
He's doing Twilight Zone next.
Jordan Peele is?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's going to basically executive produce a reboot of the Twilight Zone TV show.
It's going to be a TV series?
I think it's going to be a TV series. It might be a limited, like a limited run series or what have you.
I'll watch anything he does, man.
Did you see that thing about Big Little Lies? Because it was based on a book, and it was conceived as a one-season limited run. And then, a couple of days after most of the organizations announced all their nominations, they announced they were going to do season 2 of Big Little Lies.
Yeah.
Which I guess they're just going to make up from scratch. But a bunch of the awards people are pissed because they had already put them in
limited series.
Limited series, and now you're not a limited series, and you're going to take that award probably from another limited series that, isn't cashing in.
Yeah.
And at least one awards has completely removed them from the ballot and put them on another category.
I don't even know how you do that. Are they going to use the same people?
What I saw was that Reese Witherspoon and Nicole Kidman would be back for sure. And I remember, and a third one.
Shailene Woodley?
No, that's the only name I didn't read would come back. And I remember thinking, well, if you're going to bring everybody back, why
Zoe Kravitz?
Zoe Kravitz would come back.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's an interest. I don't know how you make a second season of that. It would be ridiculous for a lot of the same type of stuff to be happening. I mean, this past season was just it was constant barrage with Nicole Kidman and Alexander Skarsgård and all that that.
Every time they were in a scene together,
I
was like,
God, okay, we get it already.
Yeah.
I've seen it enough. It seems like to me, if you were going to do it again, you just have different actors like Fargo does.
Yeah, do a different story in a different community.
I love the anthology concept that's been popularized.
Because I believe Fargo was nominated for limited series, even though it's a constant series, right?
Interesting.
Because,
I don't know.
Because it's not the same characters over and over. Maybe, I don't know.
Off track. Sorry.
Anyway, yes, Jordan Peele would have to direct this motherfucker.
Get Out too. I like it.
Get Out!
I mean, Get Out the prequel. Get In.
Looking forward to seeing how yes. Get Out too. Getting In. I'm be interested to see how his career will be over the next 10 years. What we're going to see from him.
It's fucking awesome.
I have another one. Groundhog Day 2.
Ooh.
All right.
Obviously, this has to happen to him again, right?
Or somebody.
Well, so at the end of Groundhog Day, he says, "Let's live here," right? Or let's move here.
He does say something like that.
Yeah, I think,
Right.
yeah. So this can't just be some random thing that happens to him one time in his life. Although I guess it could. At his age, it's the first time and last time. I guess it could be whatever. But I feel like the sequel to this could either be him or a different person, which is, or it could be him and an adversary.
Mm-hmm.
And both of them have to find a way to work together to get the day fixed.
So they're both in the loop.
Yes.
All right.
They're both in the loop. So at first, Phil thinks, I have to do all the same things I did the first time. I have to have the perfect day and so on and so forth. But his evil version is his rival, is constantly fucking things up. And by the time he gets together and says, "Hey, we need to do this and whatever," they have to find a way to work together. But there's a lot of conflicts with that, like things that Phil will have to do. He'll have to lose some things.
Ah.
And same thing for the rival. He'll have to lose some things, and they have to figure out what the perfect balance is to get through this day.
Interesting. Is this in Punxsutawney?
I mean, it could be.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any real reason it has to be anywhere, but anywhere specific. But yeah, I mean, why not put it in Punxsutawney?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, he's got a rival now, and it could be fucking Chris Elliott for all I care. But I think that could work. I think it would sort of show the value of compromise, and it would show a lot of things that, there's some things that suck about life that you have to deal with in order to get what you really want and everything. So I think it would be fun to do that.
Yeah, I like that.
You guys don't seem entirely sold.
I'm down with that.
I'm totally down. I was actually half my brain is spent perfecting my next idea.
No, I think the idea of the compromise, like say he has to lose, not that anybody watching it would care, but he would have to lose Andy McDowell.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Like Jeremy would be like, that's the first thing that needs to go.
Yeah, he's got to get rid of Andy McDowell.
Yeah. Like, that day that you got her and everything, that was a great day, but now you need to lose her.
Yeah.
I'm afraid she's far too Andy McDowell to stay around.
No, and I do like the idea that, say, Phil thinks he's got a perfect day, and he doesn't even know that his rival is actively fucking it up because his perfect day is different.
Yes.
And that's going to be those conflicts.
That's right.
Or how it's going to end up screwing up.
I like that idea a lot. It reminds me of a Star Trek The Next Generation episode, but not really.
Something that would be done on Star Trek Next Generation?
No, a specific one where Geordi and Ro are transporting and they get phased out to where you can't see them. And everybody thinks they're dead. They died in this transporter incident, and they're running around trying to figure out how to be visible again and get somebody's attention, what have you. About halfway through the episode, there's they find or the audience finds out that there's a Romulan from a nearby ship that is also out of phase and is able to move around unseen by everybody else. So I just like the idea of Phil going through his Groundhog Day shenanigans, but not at first realizing that there's like a counterpart out there. Anyway, I like that.
Yeah, and that'd be a cool part of the first act. He doesn't know.
Right.
Who it is.
It's like, why the fuck isn't this working?
Yeah, like he keeps trying to do the same thing. And then I guess you'd have to have a cap on this, like 3 or 4 times to be like, I don't know what else I can do.
Yeah.
And then he finds out, okay, over on the other part of town, this is happening.
Yeah, there's like a mystery element to it, to where, why isn't this? It's a puzzle.
Yeah.
I like it.
Boom, 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 boom. That would be the music.
And this rival would be Bill Connors.
Yes.
Bill
That's
Connors.
Right. Oh, yeah. Could even get Stephen Tobolowsky to be his rival. Yeah. There was another idea I had on this as well. You could even have it where, but this would sort of take Bill Murray out of the equation, and you don't really want to do that. But you could have it happen again, but he doesn't know that it's happening. And it's somebody else that's having the thing.
Oh,
and he just happens to be an ancillary character in the story.
That could be kind
Oh,
of.
that's
And
interesting.
he has, and every time we see Bill Murray, he's having like the best time of his life or whatever. You know, it's like I wish I could have this day over and over again.
That'd be great because that person then could come up to Bill Murray and he would be the only person that would believe that that character. And be like, all right, here's what you got to do, and then he keeps resetting every day that they screw it up.
And then he could be like, "Could you not do it right away?"
No, what he would say is, "Come find me when you wake up."
Yes.
Okay, so I'm starting to kind of enjoy these geriatric comedies that
Are you
talked
really?
about popping up. Like it started with, didn't start with, but with Bucket List and Space Cowboys and The Crew. And I just found one the other day on one of the movie channels I'd never even heard of, and it's Going in Style. Morgan Freeman, Michael Caine, and Alan Arkin.
Morgan Freeman's always in these.
He is.
Because there's
He's
another
always
one
close to death.
There's another one coming out with him in it that's
I think
coming
so.
out, and then of course there's some bullshit on TV with Terry Bradshaw. And
Oh yeah,
you know
there's
what I'm
that.
talking about?
And
That,
then
like,
there's
out of nowhere, that bullshit.
was he
Yeah.
in Last Vegas?
Yeah,
Last Vegas.
that's the one with Michael Douglas.
Right, and
think Morgan
Kevin
Freeman's in
Kline.
that.
Yeah.
I think he is. But that's sort of the point.
Last
that these
Yeah,
all-
he is. He's in every one of these.
Yeah.
He's in every single one.
So in this Going in Style, like the company fucks over their pensions or something. It's like a corporate buyout, and they're not going to pay out these pensions. So these guys have no money. But Michael Caine had started the movie at the bank, and these guys had robbed the bank. And so they get the idea these three old dudes are going to rob a bank, steal the bank's money, and get rich. I didn't even watch the whole thing. So basically, I want to take a geriatric comedy format. I want to mix it in with a little bit of Rear Window,
Huh.
and we're going to do Sneakers 2.
Nice.
Where Sidney Poitier and Robert Redford are like roommates in a retirement home, center, what have you. They're a little too keyed in on their neighbors, what they can see out the window, what have you. They can't stop sneaking, basically, even though they're old and diseased or what have you.
Yeah.
They use their hacking skills to, change their bill if a restaurant overbills them, what have you. It's comical, more comical this time, and the stakes aren't quite as high. But basically, let's see where these people are 25 years later, except for River Phoenix.
Well, the
Yeah.
interesting thing is they're not rich at the end of Sneakers, right? They don't, because
No.
neither of those
Well,
two.
and even in the beginning of the movie, that girl goes, "It's not much of a living." They're not even making much money doing it to begin with.
yeah,
But
they're
even
not
with
asking for
their-
money.
Even with the device that they get, they steal the money, but they put it into like charities
Right.
and stuff like that.
Yep.
They don't keep it.
Yeah, and that's the David Strathairn's request, basically.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
Sidney Poitier just goes on a vacation, and Martin just gets his name cleared. Like, they didn't ask for any recompense. So, yeah, they could just be in a regular-ass retirement community.
And Aykroyd can pull up in his Winnebago.
yeah.
Maybe it could be a road trip movie
Yeah.
with these guys in his Winnebago, and along the way, they Rear Window style see a crime and step
Well,
in to try and stop it.
And talk about how their jobs have changed since 1992.
Yeah.
Like all the different kinds of hacking and stuff that they've probably had to sort of learn over the years to, because now it's completely different.
Mhm.
Of course, they sort of gloss over that in 1992 by just having a thing that decrypts everything.
You're right.
So,
Yeah.
so they don't really. I guess
God's
they,
eye.
Yeah, I guess they don't really need to know a lot of new things. But
Well, you could almost have some fun. Like maybe they have a hot young hacker guy on their crew who can, hack apps on the App Store, do all the new digital stuff. But these guys are like, get off my lawn. I've got a VCR. We use this old school duct tape and electric wire and yada yada. I don't know. I just think that would be a fun way to see those characters again.
By
I
the
dig
way, that other Morgan Freeman movie I'm thinking of came out a couple of weeks ago, and it's called Just Getting Started. And it has Tommy Lee Jones and Rene Russo, and it's got a 3.8 on the IMDb.
Wow.
And poor Ron Shelton, he wrote and directed this.
Wow. Well, he's getting up there in age too.
Yeah.
Maybe this was on his bucket list.
It could be. Could be. He's 72.
So,
All right, so my idea for a reboot is actually actively being done, and they're absolutely going to fuck it up. Sony's doing it. Masters of the Universe.
Ah.
So I grew up loving me some He-Man.
Mhm.
Like that was out of G.I. Joe, Transformers, and He-Man. He-Man was my favorite.
Mhm.
And then when the movie came out with Dolph Lundgren and Frank Langella, it was abysmal. Even to my, 7, 8-year-old self, I was like, the fuck is this shit?
Yeah.
Because it was all like gritty, and it was set on Earth, and I was just like, what the fuck is all this? Like the effects were bad. So I would love to see this done right. And I think you can do it right, because those characters, even though they're based on a toy line, you can do stuff with that. We saw it in Lego Movie. You can actually make a good movie. So if you set it back in Eternia, did you ever watch He-Man when you were growing up? Oh, really?
I did.
You did.
Yeah.
So you set it in Eternia, which is his planet, and it's the eternal battle of He-Man and his forces versus Skeletor and his forces. What I want to do is make it in kind of like a raid style format.
Ooh.
So what happens is in my script, Skeletor comes in, and He-Man's alter ego is Adam, and he's Prince. His parents are the king and queen of Eternia. So Skeletor comes in, raids Castle Grayskull, and kills Adam's parents. Takes the power sword. Okay? So Adam has to break into Snake Mountain, Skeletor's lair, as Adam, because he doesn't have the sword to transform.
He's so weak, Adam is.
He's a fucking man. He's like all cowardly.
What kills me is Adam looks exactly like He-Man, only with like a shirt on.
Yeah.
And he's got all the muscles He-Man does.
But he's lily-livered.
Right.
But then you bring in, so Man-at-Arms, like his kind of second in command, is also a scientist. So you can develop the science side of this character. You've got Teela, who's this badass warrior female that could also help. The three of them with Orko, is the little bit of comic relief.
Yeah.
They break into Snake Mountain, and there's a zillion, just as there's a million toys, there's a zillion characters in the villain world. So they have to get through each of these characters to get to Skeletor at the end. And if you stage it with some like badass raid-style fighting to get to this place to where you got to use Teela in one scene, you got to use Duncan in one scene, you got to use Adam in another scene, and then you finally get to Skeletor, I think that would be fun. There's no way anything that interesting is going to happen with this reboot.
Well, does that mean that he's not He-Man for a lot of this movie then?
Correct.
Ooh.
It's more Masters of the Universe
Marketing
than it
is going to have a fucking heart attack on that.
Yeah, but then when he gets there, he has to become He-Man to even have a chance against Skeletor. So he gets to the sword. Spoilers.
Right.
He gets to the sword, and then he fights Skeletor as He-Man.
Listening to you pitch a reboot of a show I've never watched is a bit like people who've tried to explain World of Warcraft. Especially when you start rattling off places like Grayskull Castle and Snake Oil Mountain or whatever.
I could tell you everything, man. You've got Ram Man, you've got Manny Faces, you got Evil Lynn, you've got all kinds of...
But did you ever watch Mask?
Mask? The Eric Stoltz movie?
No, the cartoon with the green vehicles and the Save the Universe squad.
I don't.
Mask stood for something. My God.
I think I remember what you're talking about. MASK?
Yeah.
I didn't see it.
I don't think I ever watched it. Was that your jam?
That was my jam. That and Transformers.
You never watched He-Man?
No. Mom and Dad would not approve He-Man any more
Really?
than they would G.I. Joe. No.
Interesting. Well, He-Man has this combination
it has a demon
of like...
skeleton-faced bad guy. I mean, my mom and dad were like...
That's true. And his sidekick is really Evil Lynn.
Did you ever see the episode where he was on the backwards planet?
Yes.
I remember like I loved that episode so much that I took my, this is in the 80s, this like tape recorder that I had and like record like when it came on again, a rerun, I wanted to record the part where he finally figures out how to become He-Man on this backwards planet. Because he's got to say the words backwards. He's got to be like, Grayskull of power thee by. And I was like, yes!
You recorded the audio?
I did. So, like, I would go back and listen to it and everything and memorize it or whatever. It's only 5 fucking words. But, like,
That's fucking great.
And like, cause it gave me chills back then. Like that he'd been struggling on this planet for so long, he couldn't become He-Man. And then finally he says the words backwards. Even though at 8 or 9 though, when he says, I have the power, he said, I have the power, and it wasn't backwards. So I was like,
not to mention just saying the words in reverse order is not truly backwards.
right, exactly. He has to go zip,
Exactly. Now, if you play what Chris just said backwards, it actually sounds the watermelon is tasty. Some kind of back masking.
It's just the usual subliminal messages I put in every single
drink Coke.
That's right.
I'm just saying, like, as a He-Man fan, wouldn't you like to see it done right? Because that movie was so fucking awful.
I don't think I ever saw the movie.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Man. I mean, Frank fucking Langella as Skeletor and Dolph Lundgren just... Apparently, Dolph Lundgren is this super genius and apparently also an underrated actor, but he was fucking abysmal in this.
This was before he got his degrees.
I guess so, man.
The smarts came later.
And he was all buttered up, too, man. It was just disgusting. Like, it just...
Yeah.
Hey, I like Popeye, but I don't need to see a Popeye movie.
I like the Robert Altman Popeye.
Not me.
Not very
You
many
like it?
people do.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have I ever seen it? No, I've never seen that.
I mean...
My favorite part is when he says the thing backwards.
Yeah, exactly.
he actually spits out the spinach.
Backwards. So it's like... it's the
I,
same forwards and backwards.
Oh, that was awesome. Yeah, Robert Altman ahead of his time.
palindromic.
That's where He-Man got the idea, was from Robert Altman's Popeye. I didn't write this down, but I started thinking of some really ridiculous sequels like Armageddon 2.
Yeah.
And
Armageddon it.
Yeah, exactly.
They get up there on an asteroid and Bruce Willis is still alive. It's the same asteroid has come back around.
It's like The Martian, only on an asteroid. the
That's the pitch right there. That's all you have to say.
But I thought about, like, if you're going to make Armageddon 2, you got to make it super ridiculous. You got to have like 4 asteroids coming towards Earth.
Yeah.
And what would be interesting plot-wise about an Armageddon 2 with 4 asteroids coming towards Earth is if they were able to figure out the trajectories of all of them, and they have to decide to get one. They can't get them all.
Ooh.
And so they have to figure out, like, what's the least amount of people that are going to die if and all that.
Ooh. What if this time they went and got the world's best curling team?
Ooh.
And they figured out a way to knock one of the asteroids into the other 3 asteroids perfectly.
Exactly. See, now, no, it has to be ridiculous. That would be awesome.
Yeah. You got to get it at this angle.
That's right.
And
You
they got to
gotta-
be Canadian. So they're like, okay, this is what it's about.
Right. Yeah. You
All right, guy.
got to have just the right trajectory in space.
People in the spacesuits with the brushes go.
They're scrubbing that space.
We got to have the brooms. Have the
You
brooms,
see
okay?
that? They're like out in space scrubbing. What are they scrubbing?
Scrubbing space.
they're scrubbing
They got to
space.
scrub the radiation out of the way.
Exactly. They're stardust, guys. That's how asteroids travel.
It's,
Oh man,
that'd be fucking great.
I'm sorry, I just completely ruined your idea.
No, that's fine. That's it. We would want it to be super ridiculous.
Yeah.
we want to make it. We're like, no, seriously. See, this time, you'd have to get Michael Bay to direct this too. You'd have to get it super ridiculous. You'd have to, because he wanted that fucking asteroid to hit Earth. If he really want, I mean. I know a few hit. That's why he's able to have some scenes of the cities blowing up and stuff, because that's what he loves doing. But he wants to see what happens when a huge asteroid hits and whatever. I mean, and that's the other thing. There might be a situation where there's 3 smaller asteroids and one bigger one, and they have to do the bigger one because the bigger one would cause the big nuclear winter or whatever the fuck it is, where the dust flies in the air and the sun can't reach, Earth and everything.
Basically the worst parts of the Bible.
Basically the worst parts of the Bible.
An ELE.
But that asteroid wouldn't immediately kill anybody, but it would kill all of life. Meanwhile, the other three, like one's going towards New York and another one's going towards Moscow and another one's going towards, London or something. And then they have to, you're going to have all this,
See you, Brits.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's too bad. Whereas what movie was it? It was one of the James Bonds where they were like, we've got missiles pointed towards London and like Manchester, and it was like
Yorkshire.
It was like London, New York City, and Manchester. It's like, it reminds me of Mars Attacks, where Jack Nicholson's like Earth with a big huge hand and Mars with a small hand.
Oh, man.
I like your ideas. I think we got some good ideas.
Yeah, I think they're going to be all greenlit by the time we publish this episode.
Telling you,
Indeed,
man.
it's
Make
already
it all moot.
already happened.
All of them are essentially viable.
I wouldn't think Jerry Maguire 2 is very viable. I mean, I'm sure if the studio had Tom Cruise involved and he was like, I'll make it, they'd probably do it.
Who would play Ray?
Actually, I was thinking about that. Because everybody I think of who would nail like the role of a hotshot young sports agent is too old. Like the first thing I thought was Dax Shepard.
Yeah.
And then I thought of Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
They're all a little too old. It's going to have to be one of those kids.
Maybe Zac Efron.
Yeah, like a Zac Efron type.
There's been a lot of Zac Efron love out there.
Mm-hmm.
It's time for some hate.
Has he been impressive to you besides maybe Neighbors?
I liked him in Neighbors. I don't know that I've ever seen him in anything else.
Well,
I didn't watch High School Musical.
yeah.
I did.
Of course you did.
It's one of those things where he's not only better than you expect. I don't know. He's better than you expect. So every time he shows up in some sort of comedy role, there's there's a sort of a familiarity to what how he's doing it, and he does the same bullshit in Baywatch, and I feel like he's not. I mean, Baywatch is not a good movie anyway, but in that movie, he's particularly egregious for some reason. Like it's too dumb.
Yeah.
It's too dumb. And
Have you seen Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates?
I've seen that too.
Pretty dumb.
Yeah.
What a collection of really great people.
Mm-hmm.
That guy from Silicon Valley's in it.
Yeah.
That guy from Veep is in it.
Mm-hmm.
I like both the male leads. You got Anna Kendrick and
Aubrey Plaza.
Aubrey Plaza,
and it's just
it's just
a
not
groaner.
funny. Like
Stephen Root is in that movie.
I mean, and even in The Disaster Artist, Zac Efron is playing that, the guy, the robber guy.
Yeah.
And it's one note. It's I mean, he's basically got
only got a scene,
He's got to
right?
be that way. Though.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think it's fair to say right now he deserves hate.
Yeah.
I think it's just that he's still not getting that role yet that we're like, oh, he's amazing or whatever.
Yeah, he was borderline breakout. Obviously, he was a well-known person, but he got so much love for Neighbors, which he's justifiably hilarious in this. So is Dave Franco. But like, I think it's just leveled off. He did that raunchy comedy that I can't even remember, where he gets his dick stuck in a toilet or something like that. Do you remember what I'm talking about?
Was that moment?
That awkward moment.
That awkward moment.
Yeah,
Okay, I haven't seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody did.
How do you get your dick stuck in a toilet?
It's a good question.
I mean, you got to be doing some really shady shit to even flirt with getting your dick stuck in a toilet. Either that or you got an elephant trunk penis, and
Maybe that's why
you got
it's
bigger
applied.
problems than that anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish he would do something to earn his.
He needs his. He needs that 1-2 punch Brad Pitt had with 7 and 12 Monkeys. Where
Yeah.
you're like, oh, he's not just a pretty face. He's actually got talent.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll get that.
Yeah.
I think I did see that awkward moment, but I don't remember that scene. He like Jeremy's saying, I think he's got to have something that's, because that's what happened to Pitt. I thought Pitt was just going to be, that pretty boy for the longest time.
yeah.
Like, okay, he's serviceable. And then he does 7 and 12 Monkeys, and I was like, okay, I'm sold on this guy. So yeah, he needs to find one of those, and maybe he's just not finding them. I don't know.
Maybe he doesn't want to.
Maybe he's not interested.
Maybe The Rock knocks on his door and says, hey, want to make Baywatch? And he's like, fuck, why would I not? Let's
Yeah.
do it.
We can both lift weights together.
Yeah, we'll be on the beach for 6 months shooting. Why not?
Yeah, man, Baywatch. Oh, that's got to. If we made a worst of the year, that would hit it.
Really?
Yeah, it's easily on there.
Ugh.
So bad.
Which is crazy because it actually started off as being an interesting idea. When you saw the first trailer, like it was more comedic than we thought.
Mm-hmm.
People were kind of excited for it. And then
Yeah, I was. I saw
nothing.
the trailer and I was like, that could be something.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
No, it's not.
Questions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
One.
This is one that was teased in the last episode, the one before The Last Jedi. By the way, before we start into this, ton of comments for our Last Jedi mini-pod.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. A lot of debate, a lot of mirroring what we were saying, a lot of people agreeing with Jeremy, ton of people agreeing with Chris, couple of people agreeing with me, but there's a good variety of comments.
It's funny. As the comments came in, there were a lot of people who were like, "This movie is terrible. I don't know how you can like this." Blah 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 blah. And my response to one of them was, "I'm going to agree with you with all the things that you hate about this movie because I totally understand it. It's not this is not that type of movie where you can just say, "Oh, I can ignore the bad."
Yeah.
Because you can't ignore it.
Yeah.
And it's going to be very interesting 10 years from now how we perceive this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And because I love it now. I love the idea that that he tried to change the course of Star Wars. It may not end up being successful the way. I mean, J.J. Abrams coming back for
He may reset that shit.
reset it.
Yeah.
So somebody brought up another interesting thing about that the behind the scenes, Lawrence Kasdan had written a script for this. Rian Johnson came in and threw out everything that Lawrence Kasdan did, and I was like, that would be in a mind-blowing scenario.
Yeah.
That Rian Johnson, who I know people respect as a filmmaker, but doesn't have any power, I wouldn't think.
Not the kind of power Kasdan would have.
No, and doesn't have the kind of power to... Remember, this is a franchise where two directing teams have been fired. Well, one directing team and a director has been fired from their Star Wars for trying to make it different.
Right.
And Rian Johnson comes in and makes it different, and they're like, "Oh, we're cool with this."
Yeah.
So, and J.J. Abrams is an executive producer on this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like he didn't know what was going on. I've got to know what happened there. I've got to know, because that's got to be a story in of itself.
Yeah, no kidding.
That he got this made
Behind the scenes.
I agree.
Anyway,
Sorry. Questions.
Question. I got something to say. I want the truth. I am listening.
Questions.
So we teased this in the last episode, the last major SinCast here. I have a question that I think you'll have fun discussing. Even though most people hate the Halloween remake, and it's not good, this person likes the idea of exploring Michael Myers' life as a child. I do not, but okay, we'll go with that. The issue is that the story that was told in the remake was not very good. This person always thought that We Need to Talk About Kevin was a better origin story for Michael Myers than the one he got.
Absolutely right.
Absolutely. It's a fucked up movie.
Yeah.
So in that vein, in your opinions, what seemingly unrelated films form good prequels or sequels to the other? Kind of ties into our conversation earlier.
Very nice.
That's right.
Very nice.
As you can tell, I had Groundhog Day on the brain during this podcast. So nothing ever really explains what's going on in Groundhog Day. This is one of the things. It's just something magical that happens to Phil Connors, and we never get an explanation for it. He just knows that he has to make the day perfect and so on. But what if Phil Connors is in the Matrix?
Oh, that's a big glitch.
What if the machines are changing things every 24 hours and something about Phil Connors keeps getting it back to the same day?
His code is the only part that's not going with the rest of the change they're making.
And he needs to make the day perfect because otherwise everything goes into chaos the next day.
Interesting.
And because the Matrix introduced the idea of deja vu being a glitch in the Matrix when they change something and so on, it wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility that he's in the Matrix and that something is getting changed every 24 hours, or that whatever his scenario that he's in is not adding up to what they need to happen for the next day.
Yeah.
So I feel like The Matrix is a decent prequel or at least side story to Groundhog Day.
That's awesome.
That's very good.
By the way, speaking of The Matrix, every time I watch that, I don't notice the cat until he says, "Whoa, deja vu."
Mm-hmm.
Is the cat shown before then?
Yes, it's shown twice.
Okay.
It's
I
just
just
the
never
same.
noticed it.
It's just the same. It's not deja vu as we know it, though. It's bullshit deja vu in the Matrix.
It's not the same
because
scenario?
he sees the cat and it meows and it runs off, and then you see him walking up the stairs some more, and then he turns back and it's the exact same cat at the exact same place meowing. Blah 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 blah. Instead of him just going, "Oh, that's the same cat,"
Right.
he goes, "Oh, weird, deja vu. That's so weird," and it really isn't.
Yeah.
Because deja vu is that feeling you get that something has happened a long time ago, or like a week ago, or whatever, not within 2 seconds of each other.
I hate the way Carrie Ann Moss says it too. She's like, "A deja vu is usually a glitch in the Matrix."
Yeah, a deja vu.
A deja vu.
A deja vu.
Deja vu.
But
I made her British too.
I added in this Groundhog Day thing. This is like there's a possibility that maybe even, and if you wanted to really explore it, that Phil is kind of like the Joey Pants character, that he was out of the Matrix at one time, and he went and made a deal with Agent Smith and said, "I want to get back in, and ignorance is bliss," and so on, and he's been put back in. But something has happened to where he still kind of has an idea of what's going on.
Oh, that's interesting. And because he was retconned in, maybe that's what screws it up in the first place.
Right. That's the other thing. So there's a lot of little interesting things you could take with that.
Yeah.
I would like to see that movie actually, but I don't know. It would be fun.
I could see Ned Ryerson. Morpheus? Bob Morpheus? Long time no see. I think October Sky works really well as a prequel to Apollo 13. It's funny that I'm mentioning October Sky twice in one episode.
Yeah.
Even more obscure than Groundhog Day to reference twice. Have you seen October Sky?
It's been forever.
So, great movie. One of the early Jake Gyllenhaal roles, and basically in the late 50s, after Sputnik goes up, and these kids get inspired to dive into rocketry and start shooting off their own homemade rockets, and they get accused of starting a fire, and then they use math to prove that it couldn't possibly have been them because they went out and found their rocket. It's just a really cool science is fun kind of thing, but I could see one of those students going to work for NASA 10 years later when the Apollo stuff is kicking into gear.
Oh.
I could see that character growing up and having been so fond of rocketry as a kid. I'm going to be a rocket scientist, and you end up working for NASA. And so maybe he's one of those guys at Apollo 13 who cheers at the end when they come back on the comm.
He might be one of the ones that create a round thing into a square hole.
He might be
right?
the guy with the duct tape.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway, I like thinking that. I think that would be an interesting double feature regardless.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like two different eras in the space program.
Could even bridge it with the right stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good movie. I feel like that movie's almost been lost to time, even though a lot of people liked it when it came out. It's got a 7.8 on IMDb.
Yeah, Chris Cooper's in it. He's great.
Yeah.
I remember liking it.
Great coming of age film. Great math and science are good film if you got kids that are into that stuff or you wish they were.
What was that, 2000?
1999.
99.
I would even pitch a three movie showing. You start with October Sky, then you do Apollo 13, then you go into the future and do The Martian.
Nice. That's science as fuck.
Well, and space is fuck. Did you see the pictures, by the way, that Elon Musk tweeted out of the Falcon Heavy rocket, SpaceX's biggest rocket ever?
Yes.
Has 27 engines.
He tweeted out the back of it, right?
Yeah, 3
awesome.
Circle 9 engines. Oh my god, it's like I'm geeking out to see that thing. I guess it's going to go up in January.
Elon Musk has been on some Twitter recently.
Man, I saw a great photo. I think it was on Reddit, and it was SpaceX in 2002. And it's literally like a dozen people in casual attire in an empty average office space that they probably just rented with like a little, whiz banger in their hand or some kind of party celebration. And then it's like SpaceX today, and it's like this fucking, Falcon Heavy rocket factory. I mean, just think about it, in like 15 years, how much they've accomplished. Mm-hmm. They're fucking regularly landing rockets back on Earth after firing up into space.
I know, man.
Does he has someone's bet him something and he's going to try to do it with, like, wasn't it to solve some country's hunger problem or something?
Well, there's something around, it's not the hunger problem. And he sent a bunch of batteries, because basically he's in 4 companies now, basically. He's got Tesla, SpaceX, the Boring Company, which is making these tunnels, and then this company that makes batteries that he sees as, I guess, clean electricity. You can buy one of these batteries for your house, and I guess you then have to plug it in to charge it at some point. But anyway, he sent a bunch of those to Puerto Rico after the hurricanes came through. That was like the first source of power I think a lot of them got. And then there's something with Australia. I think Australia has paid him a shit ton of money to do something with the battery technology to power their grid or something. And then, of course, there's like 2 cities that have already contracted him to build tunnels. Like, I guess he's going to build a tunnel from D.C. to New York, a Hyperloop tunnel, but
and one in L.A., right?
And one in L.A. to San Francisco, I think. Anyway, that dude is Tony Stark, basically.
But it was whatever it was something where it was by the end of the year or something like that. He and it was some impossible task, and he just said, "Okay, I'll do it."
Huh? I'll have to look into that.
So with mine, I don't know if I can make this work temporally, but I would love to see. Did you ever see Perks of Being a Wallflower?
Nope.
So Perks of Being a Wallflower is a really good.
You know what the subtitle of that movie is?
What's that?
Jeremy is not interested.
It's a good coming of age.
That's what I've heard.
And the guy struggles with severe anxiety and depression.
Interesting.
And plays a major role in the actual story.
Now
I think you'd like it,
bad.
actually. But Ezra Miller and Emma Thompson.
They're such a cute couple. Are you doing Lolita too?
Yes. Ezra Miller and Emma Watson are brother and sister, and Ezra Miller is this very outspoken homosexual teenager, and he's flamboyant, he's hilarious, and I would love to see his character eventually become Michael Sheen's character in Tron Legacy.
He's got to get in the game somehow.
He's got to get into the game. So he becomes like he's frustrated because he's been persecuted. He's having an affair with the star quarterback in the movie, and he eventually like gets threatened and things like that. And he's living in this oppressive jock style environment. If he finally gets out of there, finds his way into this game, he would totally be a dude that was in charge and just like out there and fucking like making shit happen. So yeah,
I thought you were going to go toward the birdcage and make him one of the like the Hank Azaria type character in the birdcage.
Ezra Miller making 2 of these things here.
Yeah.
We got to talk about Kevin on this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
So.
I don't know, man. I love that character. I really think if The Perks of Being a Wallflower comes on one of the cable networks, whatever, you should watch it. It would be interesting.
That's the one with Emma Thompson?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, the Elon Musk thing is, can you guarantee 100, I guess it's megawatts in 100 days? And he says Tesla will get the system installed and working 100 days from contract signature, or it's free. That serious enough for you? This is all through Twitter. And this is today, South Australia is taking charge of our energy future. Find out more, so on and so forth. So he apparently did that. He built this big, huge battery and had 40 days to spare.
God damn.
Mm-hmm.
He is Tony Stark.
He is Tony Stark.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I'm not going to be surprised if he starts flying around in a metal suit. I'm really not.
All right, let's do another one. Oh, man. All right. So we got a lot of kids questions for whatever reason this week. As a disclaimer, I'd like to mention that I am a normal, functional member of society. This is a good
means you're about to get
qualification.
something fucked up.
Exactly.
Seriously.
And my question isn't a reflection of my peace and love outlook on life. Okay, here goes. Is there any child film characters that you would like to just slap across the back of the head? I've never thought about doing this until I saw the kid singing Sweet Child of Mine in Step Brothers. I feel like he deserves it.
Mm-hmm.
There are some terrible kids in movies that we would like to slap on the back of the head. What do you guys think?
It's funny. I had to think about this for a really long time, which is weird because I tend to not like kids in movies a lot of times.
Yeah.
I mean, there's you could argue that Kevin needs to get slapped across the head sometimes, in Home Alone.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go with the kid in Searching for Bobby Fischer. Josh Waitzkin beats at the end of the Searching for Bobby Fischer. There's a villain playing chess in the early part of the movie where this villain kid with his stupid hair and he's a rich kid and all this other stuff is like because he's I guess he's ranked number 1 and all that, and he plays Josh early on, and he does this stuff like where he gets it almost to checkmate, and he's like, trick or treat. and of course, you know, we don't need to see him get hit in the back of the head because Josh ends up beating him at the end.
Yeah.
Even sends that back to him, trick or treat. There's even tells that kid, I can take a draw right now if you want. Otherwise, I'm just going to beat you in X amount of moves. And the guy's like, look at the board. You don't have a chance, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, okay. And then like within 20 moves, he beats him at the end. And then by the end, he's trick or treat, you know? But yeah, that kid could get hit across the head and it'd be fine.
Man, I wish I was good at chess. It's like,
Yeah.
I wish I was a better singer than I am. I could have been a singer. That would have been fun. I wish I was good at chess. I wish I was one of those guys who was pretty confident every time I sat down at a chessboard I was going to win.
That would be a nice
I'm
feeling.
not
wouldn't
that guy. I can't even sit down to a game of Yahtzee and be confident about anything.
I mean, the thought process, I mean, to get really good at chess, I mean, is
You have to be so many moves ahead.
yeah, and that's one sort of the speculation, even though I don't think this is entirely true, but this is sort of the speculation as to this is what happened to Bobby Fischer, is that he could play chess with all this like millions of moves in his head and everything, that it just fucked him up after a while and everything. I wouldn't be surprised if there was some sort of door opened from having that kind of knowledge.
Well,
of a
and if the
chessboard.
movie's right that his father was pushing him as hard as he was, then, that probably is a little scarring too.
Yeah, for sure.
Sid from Toy Story. I'm going to smack that
Right.
little motherfucker across
no
the face.
kidding.
There's nothing redeemable about him whatsoever. Now, there doesn't need to be. And the movie does sort of, I guess, try and explain he's a terrible kid because his dad drinks so much he falls asleep in the chair watching TV.
Right.
Yeah.
And mom doesn't pay any attention. I don't know. His sister doesn't seem that bad.
Yeah.
Why is Sid he basically is demon spawned living in this house. He's a supervillain waiting to grow up. And, just for destroying the property that somebody paid hard money for. Well, fucking bastard.
Yeah, he is an asshole.
He's the kind of guy that would loot during a crisis. Just so he could steal something to blow the head off of it with a firecracker. Anyway, Sid, I'm punching him in the face, slapping him, whatever we're doing here. It's happening. to
It
him.
helps that he's animated.
Yes,
And you can feel good about
Yeah,
punching
I don't
him in
have
the face.
any issues at all. I almost went with Tommy Tomasino from The Sixth Sense.
Oh my God.
Yeah, right?
He definitely deserves a good
Yeah.
wrap
But
around the head.
It's
there.
not the kid's fault. He's told to play him that way, but yeah.
My initial answer was going to be all of the kids from Home Alone because they're all awful. In fact, we had a scene in Home Alone 2 where it's like, because Kevin does this dickish behavior. He's like, he talks back to his uncle, who's also an asshole. And then he's threatened by his dad. Fuller's about to piss all over him. All the other kids are just like calling him names and everything. Everybody in that movie is a fucking dick. Like there's one sister that I don't even remember her name that kind of cares that Kevin's gone. But that's it.
Yep.
And everybody else is an asshole. But I'm going to really land my pick on the kids from Scent of a Woman. They're a little bit older, so I feel better about punching them in the face. Nicholas Stadler and Philip Seymour Hoffman in that are trying to blame everything on Charlie. They're basically like trying to manipulate him. He's taking the fall for it and everything for this ridiculous prank. I don't even remember what the prank was, but it gets them so much in trouble that they can basically just say it was Chris O'Donnell's fault and we get away scot-free. And Nicholas Stadler in particular, he's the guy with the butt cut and everything. He's punchable. He's punchable.
Yeah.
What about the O'Doyles from Adam Sandler movie? They're pretty punchable
definitely.
too. O'Doyle rules. Of course, they go off a cliff by the
Yeah.
end of it. So
Almost all of these characters do get a comeuppance of some sort. By the way, tangentially related, the guy in the wheelchair in Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original one, I want to punch that guy.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
No, watch Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, sometime, and you'll and like you. It's one of those things like, okay, we understand, we got to, treat that guy carefully and everything, but he is the most annoying motherfucker I have ever had to deal with in a movie. He's just like always complaining and always saying his sister's name and like blah, blah, blah. It's like, all right, punch that guy.
All right, let's do two more, both of which I really like here. The first one is also a kid's question, and we'll do kind of the other side of it. What is your favorite movie that features a group of children as the main protagonists? This person would have to go with Stand By Me. He also remembers liking a little movie called Mean Creek, which came out about a decade ago. I don't remember that one.
Yeah, I think I saw this, but I don't remember much about
But
it.
Stand By Me is a classic.
Yeah,
That's a good...
And, Stand By Me is probably the best. I don't
Yeah.
think there's anything better
Stop
than that.
stealing the best answer in your
Yeah.
question.
I mean, even if if they don't steal it, then one of us will steal it, and we'll have to come up with some other. But I don't know after you guys have written your answers in advance, and of course I've looked at those answers and so on and so forth. So I'm not going to take those. Those are also very good. So I'm left with stuff like Millions, which has got two kids as the lead,
yeah.
and those kids were really good. I would also probably go with Explorers.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
So those Explorers, you get a lot of that good stuff in the 80s, man.
Yeah.
Kid, like that's what they've been going for with Stranger Things and It.
Yeah.
And everything. It seems like it'd be a very 80s thing to have good groups of kids in an adventure story and everything. So yeah.
Yeah, well, and I was going to throw out Goonies. I think that's probably one of the best cast of kids ever. I still think Stand By Me is a better movie.
Yeah.
But they really gelled well on that. And then Super 8, which is another movie that's trying to sort of bring back that Spielberg 80s nostalgia feel. I thought all the kids in Super 8 were pretty great, too.
Yeah.
And I think I only know one of their names, and that's the Fanning girl.
Yeah. Elle Fanning is probably the best.
Who was the main protagonist?
The other guy, I don't think they've become big. Elle Fanning definitely has.
Was Spielberg involved at all in that movie? Because it was Abrams.
Yeah,
okay.
it's an Amblin. I think Amblin's name is on it somewhere.
Yeah,
it feels so Spielbergian, though.
You'd almost have to get his blessing, even if you weren't like paying him to produce it.
I remember when that trailer came out, so many people thought it was the Cloverfield sequel.
Yeah, exactly.
It's got like a monster.
Yeah, it was I guess it was the train sequence is what they showed, and so a lot of people thought this was the sequel to Cloverfield. And
that would come later.
Yeah.
In another movie.
In another movie that wasn't meant to be a Cloverfield.
Has less monsters than Super 8 does. And they're going to make another one.
Yep.
All right.
Speaking of Stand By Me, I think Stephen King has this ability to write kids really, really well. He actually wrote Jake Chambers, the kid in Dark Tower, plays a really significant role in the book series and is really, really good. I loved, the more I think about it, from this year, the more I like it, man. That cast is fucking great. Especially the girl. The other kids that are in there work perfectly together. It's almost like watching a standalone episode of Stranger Things, which is also based on something like It. So there's a lot of, as you said, kind of synchronicity going around this 80s nostalgia. But man, It is such a fucking good movie. I can't wait to watch it again.
I can't wait to watch it for the first time.
It comes out on January 9th on Blu-ray.
Excellent.
Right.
Okay, last one. And I love this. I could do these questions like every week. What's a lesser-known quote from a great movie that you love? For example, I love the line in The Incredibles when Wallace Shawn's character is talking to Bob in the office, and he says the line, "Can I do a Wallace Shawn? Let me try it. They're penetrating the bureaucracy."
That's a pretty good one.
Not bad. I don't know why I laugh, but I laugh every time. What do you guys think?
Well, the Hudsucker Proxy is not a well-known movie. It has a lot of great lines in it, but my favorite part of it is when Jennifer Jason Leigh is talking to Tim Robbins, and she's talking about how the hula hoop has like inspired people, blah 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 blah, and then she goes, finally there could be a thingamajig that brought everybody together, even though it separated them spatially or something like that. even if it kept them apart spatially.
I love that movie so
Yeah.
much.
Me too.
It's got a lot of those great lines in it, and I'll say it again. I don't know why Hudsucker Proxy is considered not good by a lot of people.
I don't know. I don't think people have given it a chance.
So well written, And I guess there's some people who think Jennifer Jason Leigh's like over the top in that or whatever, but I think she's perfect.
She's perfect
for what they're trying to go for and everything. And I even without knowing what they're trying to go for, I love her in that. And she has that best line, I believe.
I got two for you. One is in The Untouchables. And there are a lot of great lines in The Untouchables, like he's in the car, or did he sound anything like that? There's all these great lines, but one that always makes me chuckle is in the beginning when Connery first meets Costner. And he comes up to him on the bridge, and Connery's just a beat cop, and he's wanting to make sure Costner's character's not up to no good, and Costner tells him, well, I'm a Treasury officer. And so Connery's like, okay, turns to leave, and Costner's kind of mad about bad police work. It's why he's even in this town. And he's like, well, you're just going to take my word for it? Oh, I said I was a Treasury officer, but how do you know? And he goes, Connery goes, who would claim to be that who was not?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of fun made throughout the movie at the fact that he's not perceived as a cop like the way that other cops perceive themselves. Anyway, and the other one is actually from The Incredibles, like this person. And again, a lot of great lines, but when he comes out after saving his wife and Mirage helps him and she's mad at him, he's like, you keep trying to pick a fight, but I'm just happy you're still alive. And it's just like the perfect way to diffuse her anger for the audience. It's just to remind them, well, he's been thinking she's been dead this whole time. It's not like he's been living a picnic either. So anyway,
I've got two as well, and one of them is a movie that features Craig T. Nelson.
whoa,
Yeah, all right. So I talk a lot about The Devil's Advocate, but there's so many great lines in there. And one of my favorites, not in the big soliloquies that Al Pacino gives, it's where Kevin, when Keanu and the other guys are brought up to John Milton's office, and Keanu looks around and he's like, is this it? And they're like, yeah, it's just this room. And he's like, in the bedroom? And he's like, no bedroom. He's like, well, where does he sleep? They say, who says he sleeps? And he's like, where does he fuck? And Pacino comes in, he's like, everywhere. Oh, it's fucking great. And then the other one, I love the parts in American Psycho where he's just like waxing philosophical about albums. Mm-hmm. You know, he says stuff like about Huey Lewis and the News when he's about to kill Jared Leto, and he's like, you know, this is I wasn't on board with Huey, but now he becomes, you know, more artistically biting or something like that. But then there's a great when he's talking about Phil Collins, and he's got the two prostitutes in there, and he's like, and Phil Collins, In Too Deep is the most moving pop song of the 1980s about monogamy and commitment. The song is extremely uplifting. Their lyrics are positive and affirmative as anything I've heard in rock. Christy, please get down on your knees so Sabrina can see your asshole. Phil Collins' solo career seems to be more commercial and therefore more satisfying in a narrow way.
Oh my God, so good.
Oh Jesus!
I love how he slips those things in there.
Yeah. There was another one I didn't pick it because the one line itself is not the line, it's the sequence that happens, and it's in A Clockwork Orange. It always makes me laugh when Alex goes to jail and the warden is like, "Are you now, or have you ever been homosexual?" And immediately Alex is like, "No, sir," and the guy's like, "Right." It's something about when I guess British people have this right as their okay or whatever, and you hear it in Monty Python and all that. But there's something just really funny about it. It's like, are you now, or have you ever been homosexual? No, sir. Right. All right, that'll do it for this week. Please keep going to Facebook's SinCast presented by Cinemasins and giving us feedback there. SoundCloud, Reddit, Twitter.
Yeah,
email,
you can find us, baby.
Million different places to go find us and comment about what you just heard.
Tell your friends, too. There was literally still somebody on Twitter this week that said, you have a podcast?
Oh, yeah. Every time I talk about it, I get a response like that. It's just the math of how Twitter works. And the average user just doesn't see most of what you post because there's too much noise. But yeah, there's still people out there that don't know we have T-shirts.
Yeah. Get a T-shirt. Listen to this episode in your T-shirt.
That's right.
And nothing else. Wait, this just got weird.
Well, that's the cool thing about Facebook. I've seen a couple of pictures where people are wearing Cinemasins shirts in their profile picture.
Oh, yeah?
Awesome.
Nice.
Awesome.
So, That is pretty cool. But yeah, just keep going there and giving us your thoughts on this episode and maybe others as well. But that'll do it for this week. It's Chris Atkinson, Jeremy Scott, and Barrett Sher. We'll see you next time.
Thanks for listening. Comment on our episodes on our SoundCloud page. Check us out on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Reddit. And be sure to visit cinemasins.com.
I'm going to cut that.
It's what's covered in that movie Akira, the Akira Kurosawa.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about government bureaucracy. So it's like it starts off with all these women complaining about something, and they're like, "You have to go to this department," and they go to that department, and they're like, "This is not our department; it's this department." And then they go. Finally, they get turned all the way back to the original department that they went to.
Or it's like that Home Alone scene where she calls the police department. And they're like, "Oh no, you need child services." And knocks on the door. Is like, "Marge, child services." Freak out on 2.
Yeah, freak out.
Isn't there? Remember that scene in Jupiter Ascending where they do like 5 minutes of hilarious Harry Potter bureaucracy about her citizenship?
Yeah.
Isn't there like a whole madcap little thing with like the? Anyway,
Man, I forgot a lot about Jupiter Ascending.
that's fine. I think that's justified.
The only thing I remember really is Eddie Redmayne and the ridiculous accent.
You don't remember Channing's blonde hair or the bees?
He
Or
has
the
the
dogs
wolf
with bees
ears,
in their
right?
mouths when they bark
yeah.
at you. They shoot bees at you. Yeah, he's like the wolf dude, wolf face, and she's like the queen of bees.
Have they done anything since then, the Wachowskis? Besides the Sense8 thing?
I don't think so.
Oh, you mean
no movies? No.
I even forgot that was the Wachowskis. Yeah. And Sense8 was basically canceled.
Did you ever watch it?
No, I read decent things about it, but it also sounded like one of those shows that it's either up your alley or it's not.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like somewhere in the middle of my check it out one day list.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff ahead of it.
Yeah, I heard it was not good, and then I did see though it had a cult following.
Yeah.
So
I hope so, man. I want them to make good stuff.
I do too. But
Bound is so fucking good. Matrix is so good.
I don't know
And
what
then-
happened. Something happened. I don't know what it
Speed
was.
Racer has its fans.
Yeah.
You know what I hate? I hate when a show like gets really good like 3 seasons in.
Yeah.
And somebody's like, okay, now you got to go for the first 2 seasons to understand what happens in the 3rd season. And the first 2 seasons are just okay. But the 3rd season is some of the best TV. Like, I've heard this about *Halt and Catch Fire*, and I've heard this about the one with Justin Theroux,
Oh, The Leftovers.
The Leftovers.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't want to sit through 2 years of bad just to see a 3rd season that was brilliant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to watch you find your footing, because there are shows out there like The Wire and Breaking Bad that are great from the start.
Yeah. I think that was the same thing for The Killing. Like, The Killing
Yeah.
kept going.
Yeah.
And, like, everybody thought because it was so disappointing in the first season. I watched some of the first season. But then, like, yeah, I think it was season 3. It kept getting renewed, and season 3 apparently is amazing. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care.
I'm not gonna sit through all that shit.
It was the reverse with Lost. Lost was great on.
Lost's
From the
premiere is
get-go.
one of the best premieres of any show ever, I think. It's not the show. It doesn't go on to be the show that we were promised in the premiere.
No, yeah, but it also, like, peaks. I guess it was season 3 that it peaked.
I would say so.
Is that where they.
Well, and
That was
that's-
the Flash
That's before the writer's
forward,
strike,
right?
and then 4, 5, and
Oh,
6
yeah.
were all the 13 episode seasons where they were like, "We know where this is going. We know there's a true ending, and we're gonna go for that."
And
it's
you're
like-
gonna believe us.
And it was like, "Wow, great, awesome!" Like you've told us straight up before the 3 seasons before it's over. It's got a plan, and it did have a plan. It just wasn't a very good plan.
A plan to fuck with us.
I was all right with it. I was actually all right with it all the way up until the finale, I think.
Oh my god,
Or maybe the penultimate episode.
They get a little mired in the mythos of the island.
Yeah.
Like, a little too much.
Well, and
especially
there's
when
a-
the plan is to tell you nothing about that.
Yeah.
there was a guy on Cracked who was a big Lost apologist, and every once in a while you run into one of his articles where he talks about it, and he basically about 75 to 80% of all explanations are island magic.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and that's really disappointing, considering when you think about the things that really make you keep watching the show is like when Locke's down in that dark room and the light comes on, you can see that map with the question mark on it and all that stuff, and it's like, oh wow, there's all sorts of cool stuff going on here. And then the explanation for that isn't very really. I mean, it's Dharma, Dharma Initiative, and it's like, oh, so there's a company here that was doing experiments. Oh, yeah. Well, and they did this whole thing too when that first season came on. It was like they would give you all these sort of Easter eggs, like books to read.
Yeah.
And of course, that was the last show that I actually looked at, fan theories and stuff like that. It was the last show that I did it.
Yeah,
first and last.
Yeah, I mean, it was excellent at that. At least for a solid 3 seasons. That we have to go back. Kate moment is still probably one of the most jaw-dropping moments in television history. And it was just so carefully staged. That episode was just brilliant. That and the walkabout, they had so many great reveals, and the way they used flashbacks to set you up for flash forwards. That show has so many elements of brilliance. It falls apart at the end, and it's disappointing.
Well, and they also seem to have read the fan theories themselves, the writers.
Yeah. Kind of seems like it.
And sort of like, well, we gotta keep on dodging them.
Yeah.
And so like they told us forever that it wasn't going to be purgatory. And then like, so then people started coming up with like, alternative theories that sounded awesome. And they're like, well, we can't do anything that somebody came up with.
Yeah. Let's go back to purgatory.
Let's go back to purgatory.
Yeah.
If you ask me how I wished that show would go, I mean, I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know where it would have gone, like that would have been satisfying. I wasn't the one who was in the writer's room trying to come up with the explanations for everything. I do know that towards the end of the series, they started explaining things off in a little bit too glib of a manner for me. Like the Hurley they're going through that, where the forest full of voices and everything. So that's all the people who died here, right? And then, oh yeah, that's what it was. Okay, and they moved on. That was a mystery that like had people talking for years.
Right.
Oh, by the way, that's the people who all died. Okay, let's go on. Let's move.
That was pretty brief.
And so then like when they start explaining a lot of these things with it's island magic and whatever. It's like, well, okay. I mean, we were set up for a supernatural type of thing. Island magic makes sense, but it's also very unsatisfying.
Well, and everything Giacchino did for that show is amazing. He had like a different theme for every character, and
did he really?
Yeah, yeah, it's good shit.
I wish I was paying more attention.
That one little thing that I always loved, that one that he always would do, is that do 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 do.
Yeah.
It always ended in something amazing, like when that music was playing. Like, the whole thing where, like, I think there's the one episode where there's somebody who's died and you don't know which one it is that's died. And I believe it's a season finale too, because and I can't remember who it was. Was it was Kate and Jack maybe who were looking over the coffin, and then that music comes in, do 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 do, and then the camera moves over and you see that it's Locke in the coffin.
Right. Yes.
And it's like that little musical interlude that he put in was always good. And then of course you have all those other little nice little
yeah.
I just like that piano. Da, do, da, do, da, da, do, do.
Yeah.
Do, 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 do. Anyway.
Yeah.
I love it.
He's good.
Music was the best part of that show many times.
Yeah. That and all the shark attacks.
Yeah. And then Kate stripping down in the pilot.
There you go.
Yeah.
You just said that.
All right.
I mean, that kind of sold the show. It was like the eye-opening, the plane crash footage, and then her stripping down to her skivvies. All within like the first 15
I don't even remember
minutes.
that.
Really?
No, I'm just trying to play the not
Well, I mean, it was like
horny guy.
they've been crashed for like an hour, and she immediately needs to bathe.
I'm so dirty.
Like, God, this is definitely the most pressing issue right now.
Yes, it is.
To get all that shit.
That's right.
Anyway, you want to do a podcast?
We should do a podcast.
Well, I'm confused as to what we've been doing for the last 10 minutes. I thought Lost was the main topic today.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I
You
could
know
get into
what?
some
It's been 10 years. Let's talk about Lost.
Yes.
While we're at it, let's discuss that Sopranos finale.